Very. Yes.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. President. It's about Typhoon Pablo again. Would like to know lang what is the government's rehabilitation plan specifically for the coconut farmers in Davao Oriental, since coconut has been their main source of income in that area. And almost 50% or almost 90% of the coconut industry in the area has been destroyed by Pablo.
Well, first of all, you have to clear the area na maraming bumaksak na mga puno. So towards that end, um, there have been, first in sa clearing, 41 units of chainsaws have been deployed. This is being undertaken by the Philippine Coconut Authority to clear these particular areas. No? Then farm tractors were also sent to help also again in the clearing operations. Uh, Tapos yung startup materials have been provided for food production para may makain ng mga tao. Distribution of 20,000 packs assorted vegetables amounting to about 2.3 million. Farm tools also under the high value crops program. Distribution of white corn seeds for food production. Distribution of cassava seed pieces. Distribution of cassava bundles. That's for the short term. Medium term, again, additional deployment of 40 units of chainsaws. There's a program called the Biological Rhino Control Program. This is a technology applied to fallen coconut trees to limit possible rhino beetle infestation of coconut trees. Corn seeds, hybrid corn seeds, for, again for food, cassava bundles. Tapos syempre long term, may presentation ng DA on reviving the entire coconut industry, not just for Davao Oriental, but for the entire country. As you know, there are so many products arising from coconut that are new, relatively new. No? Yung cocoa coir, cocoa peat, cocoa sugar. There's so nakalimutan ko yung chemical name. But there is something that is being turned into bubble gum of all things and toothpaste, I understand in Japan, coming from coconut that enhances the strength of teeth. We are presently experiencing a slight shortage of cocoa coir material. We understand China is a major importer rather, of our exports of cocoa coir material. So cocoa water is another thing. If I remember my figures correctly, in 2009 we exported something like 600,000 liters. By 2011, we exported already 11 million liters of coconut water. Various international publications point to the fact that this is already a market that is experiencing shortages of supply. One of the major commercial entities that is doing business in the country exporting coconut water already has had to reject several buy orders, primarily because they were not sure that they could supply the necessary amount. So that points to even more potential for our coconut industry. But of course, when you plant it, it takes several years for the trees to reach maturity. So what I'm trying to say is we're taking care of them in the short term. There are medium-term plans, but at the end of the day, there will be a revival of this industry. Also, I understand in cocoa water is also gonna, General Santos is also going to be another focal point for coconut water production and export.
Thank you, sir. Good
Thank
morning
you.
po.
Morning.
Okay. Alexander Lopez, Mindanao Reporter, Manila Bulletin.
Sir, among the sectors severely affected by Typhoon Pablo were the small banana growers, especially in the province of Compostela Valley. And the government assistance promised to them were the soft loan, but until now they did not receive this. May we know, sir, the cause of the delay?
Pagkaintindi ko, nag-facilitate ang Department of Agriculture ng dialogue, no?
Yes,
And dialogue between the lending institution, Land Bank primarily, the major banana corporations, and of course the farmers, then presided over by DA. The loans are there, they're available for those who have titled lands and those who have untitled lands. Interest is 6%, payable in about 10 years. The issue is, I think the farmers were demanding a floor price, and that the Department of Agriculture act as the marketing arm. There seems to be a problem with regards to the Department of Agriculture being the marketing arm or being able to demand parang floor prices, for instance, from the major banana corporations. So what they have managed to do is, with the loans, the funds for these loans are still available. Few have availed of it, but that has already set the atmosphere for even these big corporations to have their own loan arrangements done for their contract growers. But be that as it may, we want to rehabilitate them as soon as possible. We will be tasking the Secretary of Agriculture to try and improve this program to assuage the concerns of the small banana growers, that they will not be having parang an increasing problem, but rather they can see this as the means of rehabilitating themselves. Thank you.
Genalyn Gabiling, Manila Bulletin.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, may we know the government's efforts to save the 20 or 21 Filipino peacekeepers taken by the Syrian rebels?
Well, kaninang umaga, natanggap ko itong report, no, na meron tayong peacekeeping force, part of the UN contingent, deployed in the Golan Heights. They are there to separate, to preserve the peace between Syria and Israel. You know, the situation in Syria is very, very volatile. The present commander of these forces, an Indian general, I believe, no, has been negotiating. It's evening right now in Syria. There is an expectation. The text to me was, by tomorrow, they expect all of these 21 to be released. So yung tomorrow, dahil evening ngayon, is probably later today, no? And I understand this has already been taken up by the Security Council and the UN itself, who are in contact with the Syrian rebels to ensure the safety of our people, and understand they are being treated well. They were out to get water, Syria, desert, etc., Golan Heights in particular, and they were flagged down by the Syrian rebels. So total of 3 officers and 18 enlisted personnel. So far, no, nobody has been saying that they are in danger, and I think both sides in the Syrian conflict would recognize that the UN peacekeeping force does help to prevent any outbreak of hostilities between especially Israel and Syria. So they would be looked upon as a benign presence. So we don't expect any further untoward incidents to happen. But as soon as I get back home, I will be getting an update as soon as we get to Malacanang on what has been developing.
Sir, will the government review future deployments of
We have-
peacekeepers in other countries?
We have been reviewing, may delicate balance, no? We have this, as I keep mentioning, meron tayong eksaktong dami ng kasunduluhan kapulisan nung EDSA, na kung saan kalahati yung populasyon natin. Ngayon dumoble halos yung populasyon natin mula EDSA, pero pareho lang yung eksakto numero ng pulis sa kasunduluhan. Hindi yung relatively the same, exactly the same. Ngayon yung lahat itong deployment nganto, may vital function. We are part of the global community. Siyempre kung may katahimikan sa gitnang silangan, nakakatulong rin sa ating sarili ito na, for instance, basta nagkaroon ng gera dyan, nagkakaroon ng upward spiral ng price of oil, nagpapataas sa lahat ng bilihin, etc. Kung nakakatulong tayo magkaroon ng katahimikan doon, nakakatulong rin tayo sa interest ng ating bansa. Pero yun na nga, kasama ang dami nating deployments, no? May Haiti, may East Timor natapos na, may sa Cambodia rin for a while, itong sa Golan Heights. So tinatask ko yung ating AFP in particular to reassess. Matagal na can we afford to send this number of people? I'm told the number is about 1,000 for all of the deployments everywhere, when we also have our needs here in the country. So I'm still awaiting the results of that study. Ang balancing is, meron naman tayong obligasyon na makatulong mag-enhance ng world peace, no? Pero meron naman tayong pansariling interest. Kailangan sigurong pagtumayin yung hindi na papabayaan ng alimman ditong obligasyon. Thank you.
Okay. Joel Ginto from Bloomberg. Maikling tanong.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Morning, John.
Sir, last night, the Malaysian Foreign Minister raised the possibility of extraditing Sultan Jamalul Kiram to Malaysia once charges are filed there. Are we open to that possibility?
Yung pag-extradition kasi may specific provision of law, no? We don't have an extradition treaty with Malaysia. There is an ASEAN Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty that is already in force. That is all of these steps, no? All of these issues are being studied by the DOJ currently. yung what are we empowered to do by our laws and by various treaties and agreements that we have entered into over the years. No? So, yung categorical right now na extradition, um, siguro from my perspective, let them face the issues, let our citizens, no, here in the country, face the charges that we will be preferring first. No, then we will talk about parang other developments after they have satisfied the requirements of our laws.
Sir, are we close to filing charges against the Sultan and his followers? And you mentioned na may co-conspirator siya.
Are we close to filing? Siyempre, nasa investigation stage pa tayo ngayon. So, masyado akong particular to specifics until there are, di ba, you have the investigation, there will be conclusions, there will be a determination of whether it warrants the filing of charges. So we are not yet at the stage that we will file by tomorrow or the next day. We are still in the investigation portion.
Sir, si former President Ramos suggests that the National Security Council be convened to deal with the Sabah issue. Is that something that you're considering?
We have been in touch with the security cluster of the cabinet from the start of this meeting. If they have inputs that they want to share, President Ramos in particular, I'm sure he can send it to me through a memo, and we will consider.
Sir, last point. What's the government doing to prevent this situation from spiraling out of control? Kasi sir, si MNLF Chairman Miswari, he said that there could be total chaos if the government moves to arrest Jamalul Kiram.
If perhaps you should ask Nor Miswari what he meant by that, since we are not in conversation. What is the government doing to prevent? There are at least 10 Philippine Navy and Coast Guard vessels manning a blockade to prevent anybody from adding to the troubles that are happening right now in Sabah. The DSWD is already in contact or has been in contact with the families of those suspected to be there to attend to their needs. The PNP in particular is securing everybody so that there are no collateral incidents that might happen. Siyempre, the DOJ is also at the forefront of examining and investigating. The NBI, the PNP are investigating who are possible people who are involved in this incident and the degree of their involvement. We are trying to cover any and all contingencies. The Secretary of the Interior Local Government is dialoguing now with various Muslim groups. He's presently in Basilan, and to explain what the government has been doing, what the aims of government are.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Joel, sa maikling tanong. Panghuling tanong, Mike Ubak, Choir.
Sir, two questions. Yung sa Comelec po natin, we have 2 vacancies. And considering na hindi lang ito importante ngayon, kundi yung 2016. No? So, what are we looking for? As a president, what are you looking for? And baka naman may mga names tayo.
Nag-interview ako, 3 in particular. And of the 3, I have to look for 2. And the 2, I've already signed. We have sending it to Congress for confirmation. The first name is Makabagkit Lanto, more popular known as Mac Lanto. He has had several portfolios in government, amongst them the Department of Justice. He has proven his worth, I believe, during times that he performed or tried to perform his function when the higher-ups were preventing him from doing what should have been done. No? And again, the track record is very extensive. Also an ambassador to the Middle East, Egypt, and I don't remember the other country in particular. The second is an election law practitioner by the name of a woman by the name of Bernadette Sardillo. Okay. She has again demonstrated her mettle in defending the rights of the citizenry in several particular election contests, especially in the last electoral exercise.
And my second question is, are we having a minor reorganization of the cabinet in terms of we have 2 allies, good allies coming in from the Senate, Senator Ping Lacson and Senator Kiko Pangilinan. Do you see like because of the Atimonan incident, are we creating a task force or a presidential assistant of sorts to have a holistic view and set targets?
Details we'll have to discuss with both gentlemen. No? Si Kiko in particular has several aspects of the agricultural sector that he wants to concentrate on. He's a party mate. He has already discussed some of these ideas with Secretary Alcala, and we will try to maximize his involvement in our administration to the benefit of the agricultural sector. Senator Lacson will perhaps have a more general role. No, initially, it would be like a fireman putting out fires. No? So he will not have a specific agency, for instance, that he'll report to, but when there is a particular group that needs my undivided attention, he will be the one providing that undivided attention. But we still have to work out details.
So initially, he could be a presidential assistant, Senator Lacson.
That detail will also be discussed. Baka naman masyadong not commensurate with disabilities to be called a mere assistant.
And Kiko would be part of the DA, or?
There are several sa dami ng acronym sa gobyerno, hindi ko maalala yung particular aspect. So, but they have been discussing for quite some time with Secretary Alcala, and I'm sure Secretary Alcala will want his inputs and his efforts, especially since agriculture is one of our priorities, and there are so many things that have to be done, yung hopefully in the quickest possible time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat sa makasama sa media. Magandang